This is Outdated, and welcome to the latest episode of Outdated Reviews. And this is an outdated review in many ways, because for one thing, it's the original. It's the first Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition starter set by Wizards of the Coast and, Hasbro, I guess. Two, I've had this for quite a while. It is my copy, so it's not going to be a fresh open or anything. We're going to look at the level of quality of these, because I noticed, honestly, when I picked up my first Free League starter set, I saw what starter sets should be. And another company came along and has beaten them already. But let's see if these are the folks. So, this is the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, important to note, 5th edition starter set. Explore subterranean labyrinths. Plunder hordes of treasure. Battle legendary monsters. The Dungeons & Dragons starter set is your gateway to action-packed stories of the imagination. This box contains the essential rules of the game, plus everything you need to play heroic characters on perilous adventures in worlds of fantasy. Game components: a 64-page adventure book with everything the Dungeon Master needs to get started. 32-page rulebook for playing character levels 1 through 5. 5 pre-generated characters, each with a character sheet and supporting reference material. And 6 game dice. 6 game dice? That's an odd number. Okay. When you're ready for even more, expand your adventure with the 5th edition Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, and Monster Manual. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Now, first off, the box is pretty thick. I'd say it's about the thickness of maybe a hair shorter of the Free League ones we've looked at. That being said, the lid, the cardboard on the lid, definitely better than the old school boxes, but this is not as solid as the Free League by any stretch of the imagination. The fact that I can do this quite easily. The other one I'd have to risk damaging it because it was so firm. But nonetheless, it is better than they used to be. It's not a bad box at all. Alright, so what did it come with? It came with dice, as it said. And important to note, now I actually thought this dice set was really nice. It's kind of like a marbled blue. See if I can get it to show up there. There we go. It's a marbled blue. They're pretty solid. If I have a complaint, it's that you only gave me one 10-sided die. I mean, seriously, normally you get 2, right? But, and especially because it's D&D, with advantage and disadvantage, 2 20-sided would have been better. Make sure you give us what fits, right? But overall, not too bad, but I love the fact that they are cut dice. They're not printed, they're cut. Okay, what's next? What do we have? The starter rulebook. The how to play, combat, adventuring. Okay, what do we have here? So, the paper quality is this glossy paper. I mean, it's a really good paper quality for this type of product. This book is saddle stapled, because it's pretty thin. But you would expect that. 32 pages is not a lot. I'm going to slide this out of the way. This basically tells you how to run the game, how combat works, what hit points are, how you roll for damage, what adventuring is, how you get rewarded, what happens when you rest, equipment and gear, and what it does. And it's a, truncated list, of course. Spells and what they do, truncated list again, because this only carries you through 5th level, but thus the word starter set, right? I mean, it's for starting. Credits on the back. And here's a section on conditions on the back. Oh, I like that. They used all this space. I mean, I don't feel like they really wasted a lot of space. I mean, I guess maybe this picture here, or, the dice I'm fine with if you've never played one of these. This picture kind of gets the point across. I don't know if we really need that one, but that's, seriously, that's nitpicky. Let's look at the next one. Okay, this is the adventure, Lost Mines of Phandelver, right? And it's actually considerably thicker. It is also saddle stapled, also that glossy paper. And this adventure takes place in a little town called Phandalin. I'm trying to find... There it is, right there. Phandalin on the map. D&D has always had great maps. Back in the TSR days, all the way up to today. This adventure mostly takes place here in the surrounding area. I think you eventually end up in, was it Wave Echo Cave? Is that what it was called? Either way, this adventure is very much, your characters go to a little town, and I don't want to like give away too much on the adventure, so I'm going to skip around. You go to a town. That town kind of acts as a microcosm for all of the Forgotten Realms. So you have like different factions represented there, some of which openly, most of which secretly, and your characters are there. Nice art. Your character, again, nice art. Your characters are there to learn the ropes of what the world's like, but get involved in an interesting adventure. Another nice map. So I do remember this one was kind of there's a lot of activities you can do in any order you want to do them until you get to like the big activities, and then you have to kind of like funnel back in. And I will say the adventure overall isn't bad. I mean, is it great? Oh, I ended up all the way back here. Is it great? No, not by any stretch of the imagination. But is it bad? No. I'd say for a starting adventure, for like we're learning how to do this, it is actually a good bit more expansive than you would expect from the old days. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, if I were designing one of these boxes, and I'm like, okay, we need to give them an adventure that gets them started, this adventure would probably be something I would do. Because I don't want to give them something so amazing that it'll never get topped, right? And they'll be like, oh, the best fun we ever had was the very first time we played. That would kind of suck, right? But I also don't want to give them something that's just like mediocre either. It's definitely above average. And there's a lot to it. This is multiple sessions of play. That's the kicker. Multiple sessions of play. You can play out of the starter box for a little while. You even have a little bestiary here in the back. That helps. All the way to the back cover, right? Okay, again, saddle stapled. What else do we have? Some pre-gen characters. And the pre-gen characters do not have names. You can kind of name them yourself. Seeing if it has a spot for... I don't think they put spots for gender anymore. So you could literally name them and thus determine your gender, right? 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a fighter, a cleric, a rogue, another fighter, and a wizard. Okay? So human fighter, high elf wizard, halfling rogue, hill dwarf cleric, another human fighter. Wait, is there one stuck? No, that's it. It's just the... Alright. Okay. I do like that it has this in the back to help people understand, what these are. For a starting set, that's great. Also, this is writable. Unlike some of the ones that have this glossy stuff that they look so pretty, you don't want to write on them. These are writable and usable. The only issue with that is once you've done it, you've used them. It's a nice paper stock, but I do think it's I don't know, it isn't, there's no picture or anything like that. There's nothing to really set the mood. Like we've seen with some Cubicle 7 box sets as an example, where you have like the big image of the character, you got the gatefold thing, I mean, like I would have liked more than that. So, but that's it. That's everything that's in the box. So we had our character sheets. Woo, character sheets. It didn't even come with a big map, really. We have our Lost Mines of Phandelver adventure. Again, pretty good adventure. Pretty good adventure. We have our starting set of rules. And we have our dice. Okay, so when it comes... Okay, if I can ever pick up the flipping dice. There we go. So, going back to my expectations of scoring a 7 or higher with a starter set. 1. Does it come with dice? Yes, it does. I could argue not enough dice, but it is barely enough to get by. 2. Does it come with pre-generated characters? Yes. falls a little short on that, but not so bad. Not so bad. It does what it said it was going to do. 3, does it come with an adventure? Yes, and I think that's probably the best thing it does here. I think that adventure is the best component of this set. And 4, does it come with a simplified version of the rules? Let's face it, 5e, and I would say Pathfinder has this same problem, but much worse. There are too many rules for like minor, simple things, that you could just like, back in the old days, we just made a ruling and we're consistent and we called it a day. And that's literally what it said to do. But now, like, there's all these rules and it's so much to do, and it just seems kind of ridiculous that this does a pretty decent job of breaking that down. But there are going to be moments that are going to come up where you're like, okay, there's nothing in here about that. What do I do? That's where we go back to old school. Make a ruling, if you're the DM, and stick to it. So if you say, okay, that's how we're going to handle this until I know the actual rule, that's how you handle it. And then one day, when you find out the actual rule, that actual rule might not be as good as the one you came up with. And if that's the case, that's fine. It's your game, it's not theirs, right? I mean, your table, your game. The product is theirs, but what you do with that product is yours, right? So, does this meet the minimum expectation? I would say yes, it does. But it's kind of close. The adventure's a nice leg up. The rules explanation is about where I would have wanted it to be. The dice, just a hair below where I wanted them to be. And same with the pre-gens with the quality of the paper. But overall, I'd say this definitely earns a passing grade. And I am giving Dungeons & Dragons the first starter set. This isn't the Stormwreck Isle one. This is the first starter set for Dungeons & Dragons 5e. I'm giving this a solid 7 out of 10. If you have never played D&D before, and you're wanting to buy a starter set to start with, and you see this one on the shelf, and that's the only one you see, I'd probably go ahead and buy it, if it's the only one you see. Now, if you're only going to get to buy one, and there's other choices there, that is a totally different conversation. I will save that for the review of the Essentials kit, and for the review of the new D&D starter set for 5e. But until then, I hope you enjoyed this video where this product got a 7 out of 10. And I'm telling you, this is still worlds better than those old box sets we used to have back in the day. Oh my God. Those things collapsed like on the way home and you hadn't even opened them yet. But if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. And I hope to see you on the next review or whatever it is I post. Every Friday at 1. Peace.